Hello, everybody, and welcome to your best year yet. My name's Christina Louise, and with us today we have Jennifer Shaffer, 2014 Psychic Medium of the Year. Welcome, Jennifer. Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here, sweetheart.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I invited you to be a part of the summit because I was very inspired by the work that you're doing with the FBI. Can you tell us more about that, please?
Um, part of part of what I'm known for, I guess, like you said, is dealing with the FBI, dealing with families that have unresolved deaths and missing children. And I made a point a long time ago that that would be my pro bono work. And it has given me the most spiritual goal that you can ever possibly imagine. It's what, my cases were profiled in Dr. Phil. I was on Ricky Lake for that. I've met some incredible, John Edward was a mentor. He gave me some incredible advice on how to handle these cases. And when working with the FBI, you have these extremes, these life extremes. Like I have two kids at home and, that I need to, carpool occasionally. And then I'm trying to find kids, or I'm dealing with, um, a child who was killed. The extremes keep you very humble, incredibly humble, because for me, anybody that's in pain and that kind of pain, there's nothing worse than a grieving parent. You know what I mean? It's something that keeps me up at night. It's very hard to detach from. But I learned so much because when I work with the FBI, for instance, I had an agent in my office on Sunday. Um, the information you have to give, or the information that comes through on the cases that she mentions, um, they have to go make it tangible. So it's not like I can give information and they feel good about it and they could say yes or no. It's something like, okay, you gave us this information. We now have to go out and get it. And that has helped me trust spirit. It has been my greatest, greatest teacher, because not only has it helped cases, not only has it helped families, it has created a trust within my own spirit that I know not to ignore, because my conscious mind wants to run away, or my conscious mind can look at something and say, well, that doesn't look right, but spirit will tell me exactly what I need. Or the person who's crossed over, who's trying to solve their own deaths, but there's never a dual moment. It's kind of funny. So you think about it, every single time we go to work, I never know what's going to happen. And I always ask, I can't know more than just the name, the age, and whether they're alive or dead, or if they don't know. But those are the three things that I ask for. And I actually hand it off to my academy that I've created, where we have what I feel some of the best in this field working on cases. We work separately. A case manager gives us a case. We work separately, and then we come back for a more cohesive profile. And I'm telling you, it knocks my socks off almost every time. And it should not, it's good to be amazed, but every single person gets the same information, and we work separately. But to have that happen and get the same, it's pretty spectacular. And that's time after time after time. It's fascinating. I feel very lucky to be trusted in order to do that. There's times that I want to quit like everybody else, because it gets heavy. I have to stay above the grief, and that's a whole different diatribe. But it's definitely my passion.
So I like hearing you talk about that because I can see how you're using your intuition and you're building up trust, and I want to share that with the viewers today. I really want to help people understand how they can go about trusting their intuition a little bit more.
Okay, I'll give you some cases just that helped me.
Sure.
So, for instance, there was a couple of years back, there was a girl that went missing, and I was contacted by the DEA, actually, and she was a 30-year-old, and it was on the 10th day, and I usually am like the last call, so it was on the 10th day, and I had another case that was going on, a few things that were happening at the same time. I've learned my lesson. I take one case a week, and I do have ongoing cases, but my cases started collaborating, and they were very, very heavy. They were very, very heavy. So that particular night, when I was looking into things, with there was I can't remember, like two FBI agents, a couple DEA agents, the mom, okay, of the daughter, because I always ask for the link, okay, which is usually somebody that's blood related to the person that's gone. I try to, if that's available. And so something popped into my head. I'm like, I need to speak to the mother, and they had me on speakerphone. She goes, yes. I'm like, I'm getting walking is deadly. I'm like, do you take walks at night? Don't go on walks at night, okay? There's a reason why I said this. Then I was getting airports, and to let the viewers know, to let you guys know how distracting the information is, you're not going to make sense of what comes in, and this is where the trust comes in. Okay, all the information, the most pivotal information that's needed for a case usually comes in, and for me, like within the first 7 seconds. Everything after that, because then you get feedback, all of a sudden you might start getting jaded about certain aspects of the case, which then cuts you off of that clear sense of consciousness. The second you have any judgment or fear, you don't get any more, okay? So as I'm on the call, I said, okay, she's by an airport, there's a hangar. Either she's in the hangar or she's showing me the view, and it's a one-lane airport, whatever, landing strip. And I'm like, it's within there's a 15-mile radius. Well, there's 3 airports within a 15-mile radius, and the clock's ticking, okay? And the DEA agent actually was related to the person that's missing, okay? So it was accented even more. And as I was going through this, they sent me aerial maps. And when I looked at it, I got cut off completely from that clear sense of consciousness, because it was overwhelming. And this is another thing that happens. And I thought another case was coming. I couldn't keep one of the other cases back. That was really bad. And the next morning, I actually had one of my cases was being profiled on Dr. Phil, and so I was going to the studio. That being said, the next morning, as I was trying to figure everything out, I figured out what airport it was. Okay, it just popped into my head when I was running on the beach. So I called up one of the FBI agents, told them. They went down to the airport and set up a team. I walked them through what's called, I hate to say it, it's remote viewing. So as they're walking, I'm explaining to them what they're seeing, what they're doing, where everything is. And there's silence on the phone. It's actually kind of funny. I led them to the airport. Hang in there with me. I led them through the airport, and we figured out where it could possibly be, which was outside the airport. They went to this house that I led them to that had a white shed in the back. Well, guess what street it was on? Walking Street. Walking was deadly. So what I told the mother how walking was deadly, well, they ended up getting the search warrants, busted down the door. The guy's still in jail. There was too much DNA at the time, which killed me. I thought we were going to get her alive. And this is where being involved in this can be very, very, painful, because you get attached to the outcomes, and that's where you cannot do that. You cannot get attached to the outcome. Excuse me. And so they found too much DNA for her to still be alive, but they don't know where they don't know where she was buried or wherever. The guy's in jail, and he's not going to give it up either. But all the different things that came in, like the walking street, like the hangar, like all the things that are shown were very, very pertinent to the case. But it comes in different ways. And so when you're working with your own intuition, a lot of times it's not going to make sense. You're going to get pictures, and I get pictures and I see spirit. There's a lot of different components, which doesn't mean that I'm better than anybody else. There's no hierarchy in this. All it means is that I have to learn more. I just have to learn it, because the languages don't mean anything if you're speaking it to the wrong person, right? Mm-hmm. So be cautious when you talk about intuition. Be aware of your thoughts and what comes in afterwards. And then you can ask. You can always ask your own guidance, and it comes in your own thoughts. It's your higher self projecting the thoughts in your mind. And you never have to worry about somebody bad giving you that information, okay? Because a lot of people have a lot of fears from religious beliefs, um, which is fine. You have to work through those. That's part of your path. It's not good or bad, but it's limiting if you're not able to at least get in touch with your own spirit, your higher self. Does that make sense? When I was, as far as how random things can come in, not random,
Right.
and how we just need to be more an observer, because being more of an observer gets you to not be attached to the outcomes, gets you to not be enthralled in all the emotions that are associated with it. That's really how I want our viewers, if there's a way to get you feeling stronger energetically, that's the first way. And start being very, meditation is a perfect example, but if you can't meditate, just observe your thoughts and what comes in. And see if they're yours, right?
Good. So observing the thoughts that come in, asking for guidance.
Yes.
When I'm getting anxious or overwhelmed or frustrated or angry, rather than trying to figure out why, I could stop and ask instead. Like, is this mine? Who does this belong to?
Right.
These types of questions.
Yes. I find that by saying that, who does this belong to, 3 times, it relinquishes whatever it is, it's not yours, not your own.
Right. Okay, that's a good tip.
It really does. It diminishes it. For some reason, it just does.
I remember when we were getting ready to prepare for this interview, Spirit showed me our viewers feeling like the world was happening to them and all, like, everything's just happening and piling up for them. And so, can we say any more about that? I mean, it seems like what you're saying now completely lines up for that. Like, I feel like a lot of the viewers that are watching this right now are feeling like the world is happening to them and they're very overwhelmed and they're very anxious. And so, what Jennifer, you're saying is that by stopping, asking for guidance, asking who does this belong to 3 times,
Right.
and really watching and starting to pay attention rather than ducking and covering,
Right.
right?
Right.
That could begin to break up. And I know that that's true because you talked me through something like that before the interview started. So that's really valuable information. What else? What else would you like to share with our viewers about having their best year yet as it relates to what we're talking about here today?
So, about everything happening to you, okay? A good way to look at this is everybody comes in a frequency, okay? Only you and your frequency can tap into your higher self, okay? Authentic. Like, I could tap into, it depends on, let me rephrase that. But you don't have to worry about getting information that's not yours. But the feelings of the frequencies, you're going to have to worry about. So if everybody comes as a frequency, imagine everybody has a cell phone calling each other. That's what's happening, only the other person's not answering. Okay, and all the emotions of that, whatever was on the phone, are coming in. Everybody's a telephone tower, and they're picking up things right and left. And the frequencies of the planet they're getting a little bit more, you don't know where they're coming from. Okay, on this dimension, you don't know where they're coming from. So anytime that something pops into your head, sit with it. Don't take it anywhere. So if my girlfriend, who's pops into my head, 9 out of 10 times I usually have a text right there, or I have a phone call message or an email from her. Okay, it could be documented. It could be tracked. You could do this with your friends. Okay, and because just those thoughts, if it happens a lot more. You've heard it, I'm sure, many times, where you're thinking of something and they call you. That's the most obvious one, right? Well, the times where we try to not call people, or kind of tough because we just don't feel good, because we don't know what's going on and we can't rise above it. Well, a lot of times that has to deal with the fact that everybody else is thinking of you. Everyone else is either writing you or sending you a message, but we always think, we think the opposite. We think something bad's happening. We take all the stuff that we think could possibly happen, and it drains us. So in order to really have, the best year yet, get a hold of your energy and just go, I need to know what no longer serves me, and I need it gone. That's just for starters. And then whenever something comes through, start noticing you are a navigator. You navigate just like I do in the ethers, okay, in the dimensions, but you might not understand it. I understand it because I've had years and years and years of study, okay, and because it's my job to understand it, right? But for somebody that's just wanting to get in touch with their intuition, the best way to understand it is start asking questions to your higher self. Fill yourself up with light first, okay? Fill yourself up with light, and then ask. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So how do we fill ourselves up with light?
You visualize it. You visualize source energy. You bless yourself. You bless the people that are around you. It's the highest vibration. So if you bless someone, or you bless your day, you'll see a different energetic flow come through you. And you will, gratitude, same vibration. The things that you're thankful for, same vibration. How may I be of service? We're not talking servitude. We're talking how may I be of service. Those words are probably the most significant words you'll ever say. The universe is forced to respond to that. So if you're saying how may I be of service, the universe has to give you the tools, the clients, and the means to be of service. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So those are like the little things you can say that will catapult you into a different, higher level energy within your own state.
So using gratitude, looking for things to be grateful for. I know I tell all of my clients, like after our first session, you're getting a notebook and you're going to find 5 things to be grateful for every single night, and they're going to be different every night. Do you like that?
I like that a lot.
Right?
So you're making them different.
Mm-hmm.
So we tend to be grateful for the same things, the obvious things, right? Be grateful for the breathing. Be grateful for the body that holds your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
The more gratitude towards your body, the more love you're going to feel from it.
Mm-hmm.
It really is a chain reaction.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So using gratitude, blessing ourselves, blessing our day, blessing other people in our lives.
Other people, other things, your car, your house, blessing, blessing everything that makes you happy, everything that takes care of you, everything that inspires you. Bless it, and love it. And you'll see your associations to everything start changing.
Mm-hmm. So how do you bless something?
How do you bless them? It's a heart vibration. It's not, you don't have to physically say it, or you can mentally just say it, but you can envision it in colors. Everybody comes in colors.
Mm-hmm.
You can envision the colors of healing and gratitude. What color? And don't be stuck on what that's supposed to look like. Whatever pops in your head, that's what it is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then have that send out. Like when my daughter's sick, for instance, she was really sick a few weeks ago. I would send her colors. That would carry. I envision colors going to her to help heal her. And the world is in color. Everything has a meaning. Everything, as much as we just discount it, but colors mean a lot to this world and all the other dimensions for healing, especially for all. If we all have frequencies, those frequencies have colors and patterns. You want to, and if somebody's sick, you want to bring them up. So you could say, bless my little girl, that her surroundings give her peace and harmony, and her health as well. You can say whatever comes to your mind. There's no correct way or bad way of showing gratitude or grace.
Mm-hmm. I think we tend to over analyze the whole process, right?
Right.
Just saying like I bless you or bless you, right? Or thank you or I love you, is a blessing, is almost like a spell, right? Like our words have so much power. And I
If
think, go ahead.
if anyone had any idea how powerful our thoughts were, they would immediately change the way that they talk mentally, their mind chatter. If the universe has no discrimination, so if you're wanting something, the universe is going to let you want. If you want to love, or if you have to you have to show up right now as if it's already happened, and then see things. But of course, you can't. I can't remember who said this. I think it was John Holland. If you're a basketball player and if you don't play basketball and you're 5'2" and say, well, I want to be a NBA basketball player, that might not happen, right? But if you're in alignment with it, if you are playing basketball every day and you have worked really hard and that's something that's your passion, you'll probably get it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be in alignment with it as well. But it the little things, just like you said, being grateful just for your feet, being grateful for, if you focus on all the good things, then all the other things will start diminishing away because they won't have any pull to it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It does make sense. And I want to pick up on what you were saying about us being like cell phone towers and frequencies. I do want to point out to the viewers that light is a frequency, sound is a frequency, that we are every day interpreting frequencies. That's how we live our lives. And I think it was Abraham Hicks who said, "You're doing it so well, you don't even realize you're doing it."
Right, right.
Can you? Yeah, go ahead.
I'll touch on that a little bit.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
I'm fascinated when science can help back up things,
Yeah,
right?
me too.
So when you think of Albert Einstein, theory of relativity, and you think of, we don't know, that theory is so complex. And you take sound and how we've been able to track, the speed of sound, right? We have not been able to track necessarily using the same modalities within science to track the speed of light. Okay, what is light? Well, light, the color in and of itself, is all of the colors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's all the rainbows. It's all those are all frequencies. And so when everybody, you tend to be with the people that you feel comfortable with. Well, that's a frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so if you're with people that maybe are not part of your higher purpose or your higher goal, that bring you down, maybe you should change that frequency or help them get up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not saying just cut everybody out by any means, but every single person comes every single person comes with a color, and it's where they're operating from, and that changes.
Mm-hmm.
It changes daily. But if you start thinking that way, or allowing your mind to leave, I love my work because I'm allowed to have my mind actually take a break. When you get intuition, don't discount whether it's colors or patterns or names. Just like earlier when you said you had a name for me and it was associated the last time that we talked. Well, that could be very significant in a case that I'm working on. And then once you told me, guess what? You felt good. Everything was fine, right?
Yeah.
That's how it is when you're a light worker. If you have that burning sensation that you're supposed to say something to somebody, with that, and of course, obey the universe laws. Don't go up and read people. That's not how it works. But that information is telling you something, and you need to have an outlet. Whether it's writing it down, whether it's investigating it yourself, you have to be. It goes back to being in tune with the frequency that allows that information to come in. And when you allow that information to come in, then you're not thinking as much. And it's not a bad thing. Of course, you have to think when you go places and do things. I'm not asking you not to. But I'm asking you to start with your intuition coming through, and then you can think about it. So,
yeah. So it won't make logical sense, and that's okay.
None of this does. None of it. I tried. I knew way more when I first started, 8 years ago, coming out of my spiritual closet. I knew way more then than I do now.
What do you
My
mean?
mindset. Because I thought I had it figured out. Okay. Whereas now, all the experiences I've had, I don't know anything. I know more about that statement and understand it than I ever have, because the universe is dimensionless, it's endless, you know, and to be a student of that infinity source is so spectacular when you tap into it. And every single person comes in here locked and loaded to be able to do that.
Right.
No, but there's no hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, they're like, well, you have these special capabilities. I'm like, listen, I also have a voice, but nobody's going to want to hear me sing. Everybody has different aspects of their gifts.
Right.
And when you're not following those gifts or that passion, your body's going to react, because it's like, wait, that frequency doesn't feel good.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it manifests itself in your physical form.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I think a good example of that is I recently moved to Arizona, and I took a restaurant job to help out with the bills. And at first, I loved it. I loved going in. I loved everybody I was working with. I was making a lot of money. People were just tipping and tipping me, and I just thought this is great. And as I traveled on down the road, getting established here in Arizona, and started working with more and more clients in my area, I was struggling to go into that restaurant job. And it wasn't about the money. It was just, I don't know, my body just began to ache, and I just didn't feel good. And it's just like,
Right.
it's at a point now where I cannot put the uniform on again. And I still feel like, you know, the money would be nice, you know, having that would be great. And so my brain is like telling me it makes logical sense to go back to work. You have to keep that job. It's security and blah, blah, blah. But my body and my spirit are just saying no. And it's scary. And I really want to empathize with our viewers. I mean, we're getting to a point in these conversations with you guys that there's not a whole lot more explaining. We're trying to explain something that's really unexplainable. I mean, everybody's here to have their own personal experience with
Right.
their selves, with the divine, right? And so I've sensed that we're kind of getting up to a wall here, where it's like we're trying to share our own stories, but at the same time, it's not going to be the same for you. There are some similarities, and one is that,
Very good point.
right?
Very, very. Everybody has their own truth. Do not take somebody else's truth as yours.
Mm-hmm.
Find your own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's going to look different.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just give you examples, like you said. You give examples that somewhere along the lines it's going to resonate.
Mm-hmm.
And I might be the 1,000th person that's told you the same thing, or the first person, but sooner or later it's going to land somewhere in your molecular structure. When you get rid of your limited belief systems, you'll be able to actually have a place for it to land. And then your world is going to look even better.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, it's the whole truth aspect. Everybody's truth looks a little different. It's very, very important.
Right.
I'm glad you touched on that.
And that truth is changing all the time, right? Because spirit meets us where I remember a few years back, I was sitting in a kitchen talking to some friends of mine, and really, really loving the conversation. And I knew I had to go somewhere, and I had to get ready. And I asked my higher self, you know, do I really have to go? I don't want to tear myself away from this conversation. Do I really have to go and get ready? And my higher self said, yes, it's time to get ready. And so I excused myself from the table, and I went to get ready for the meeting. And I came back, and my friends were still at the table, and they were having a conversation. And I was still feeling so attracted to the group setting and the energy that was being exchanged that I said to my higher self, do I really have to go? And my higher self said no. And I said, what's going on here? You told me to get ready. I got ready. Now you're saying I don't have to go. On one hand, I'm relieved, but on the other hand, I'm a little confused. And so I actually shared that with the two people sitting at the table, and they said to me, get this, they said, the information that we exchanged while you were gone, no offense to you, Christina, but it was very private to me, and I wouldn't have shared it if you had been here. And so we really needed that time for me to get that out. And so do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't an offensive thing. It was just where we were at in our frequencies, that she just would not have been comfortable, and they really needed to have that conversation privately. And so by me checking in with my higher self and saying, is it time to leave? My higher self got me out of the way so that they could have their experience together, and then I was able to join back up. So it's like spirit's always meeting us where we're at. So I was saying, do I need to get ready to go to this meeting? And so Spirit's just going to say, yeah, you get ready for the meeting. Whatever, just you know you got to move. And if the meeting is the excuse for that, great, get out of the way. And so it's just
That's a great example.
thank you. Yeah, and so I share that with our viewers so that they understand that Spirit's going to meet you where you're at.
Right.
Trust this stuff. It's not going to make logical sense. Sometimes it's going to say left when you think you're supposed to go right. But I've had that happen too in my life, Jennifer, where I've gotten like, I'm thinking like, oh, I got to go right, right? And Spirit's like, no, go the opposite way. And I took a chance and my day was freaking amazing. I met so many cool people and ran into people. I mean, just by going left instead of right. My brain said right, Spirit said left. I followed Spirit. And it's just by taking those little chances.
It's getting out of your comfort zone. Another good example that I've realized is I always ask, should I call this person? It heightens your, and I'll share with you later. That was part of the packet that I want to give the viewers.
Okay.
But you know, when I get the information, no, I shouldn't call her. What this does is it teaches you to detach from all the outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to teach you. So when I ask if I should call her and then I shouldn't call her, it doesn't mean that she doesn't like me. It doesn't mean like it has nothing to do with that. And then I'll ask later on during the day, should I call her? And I'll get a yes. And I'll call them up. And 9 out of 10 times, they always come on saying, oh my gosh, this morning was hectic. I was at the hot, all this stuff if I would have called and left a message, then they would have thought about me more. And it would have caused this whole frequency mashup. So it's really, really good, and be open to that. Like you said, at the table, you're like, wait a second, you told me I had to leave and now I could stay? Same with phone calls. Don't detach from what, it doesn't mean when you're getting told don't call this person that you're in trouble. And that's what our ego tends to think.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing to do with that
Right.
at all.
Right. And I like a point that you made earlier, Jennifer, about how in order to really accelerate this process, we have to get rid of the limiting self-talk, the limiting belief system.
Yes.
And I can, just from personal experience, I mean, that is what catapulted my life forward. All the shadow work that I've been doing the last 7 years, removing these limiting beliefs, seeing my stories, detaching from them, making choices rather than reactions, all this subconscious, like making over my consciousness that I've done, mm-hmm. has really opened me up to Spirit, and really just my business has taken off. My family relationships have changed, my relationships with lovers and friends and clients. So I really just wanted to touch on that one more time, the importance of making over our consciousness and letting go of those limiting belief systems.
It's sometimes very challenging to do that, especially when you're barely understanding. This is where a lot of light workers get confused and hurt, is in the beginning. When you're so excited, you want to tell your family, you want to tell your friends, and you're always going to have the skeptics. You have to remain consistent. By you remaining consistent, you're going to put yourself in the best position. But not everybody's going to agree with you right up front. And what I've learned is, a long time ago, thank goodness, I learned to give evidence. And I would tell them, like, it's not your job. It's not my job to make you believe. That's your job. It took me years to understand this, and I'm still learning. Why in the world would I ever think that you're like, okay, And that's, again, that goes back to wanting, my crime, dealing with, because I always get skeptics. One of the detectives is always a skeptic. Mm-hmm. But it's the best kind, because I'm like, well, go make me wrong, or go make my guidance wrong. I'm just a conduit. This is your chance. And, Spirit won't let you down. Spirit will never let you down. But you're going to be opened up, and you've got to understand, when you're open, you're going to get more, you're going to be vulnerable, and there's going to be more things that are going to come to you that are good, but you're also going to be open to things that you're going to feel from others that are not good. And you just have to know what is yours, what's not yours, so you're not that, it's kind of like having a scrape and having an open scrape. And until you heals with knowledge, it's going to be a little tough to get that going. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? It's very challenging to talk to your family that might not understand you. Mm-hmm. Don't give up, though, and don't force them to understand. Just be who you are. right?
Yeah, that's really, really good advice. It's really good advice. And I've come to see that, I've come to understand that the contrast that people offer me, like when I share that I'm a medium or that I receive information from spirit, I get some people who look at me really crazy, and I get some people who totally get it, you know, and I bless them all because they're
Let
giving, right? I bless them all, and I used to take it really personally, and it actually kept me in a spiritual closet for 15 years. I didn't tell my parents that I was reading. I didn't talk to anybody about it. I really was like super secretive about the work that I was doing, and I was helping people. But I was just so scared of what other people were going to think about me. And now I've come to understand that there's going to be people who love you, and there's going to be people who disagree with you no matter what you do. It really, I know it really doesn't matter. So you might as well honor yourself, honor your gifts, right? And appreciate that some people are different than you, and that's what makes you you and them them, and that's a good thing,
and that's
right?
it's also something, you know, once you get over not trying to prove, once you get over not trying to prove anything, everything comes in because the pushing or the proving limits you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a relief when I finally let that go that I didn't have to prove anything. Everything was proved, proven right. You know what I
It
mean?
happened effortlessly.
But it also because you get that little anxious. That's where you become anxious because you think you have to be right. Well, you have to trust spirit, trust that they have your back, your soul, and go with it. And a lot of times the information is not going to make sense to the client. And I tell them, like, listen, it's not going to make sense now, but it'll make sense later.
Right.
Sure enough, it normally does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when you trust that for yourself, when you're first in this, for the viewers that are wanting to tap into their intuition, you have to trust it, even if it feels painful at first. And then keep your sacred experiences to yourself. There'll be conversations that will allow you to express yourself. But there's nothing worse than telling someone and having that person say, well, that was a coincidence and blah, 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 blah. Because that just takes everything, it hurts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as far as, like I said, with, you know, sacred experiences, the best thing to do is put it in your heart. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a moment about coincidences, and then I want to talk about your free gift.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that a coincidence is like a miracle, but we use that word like to mean like, oh, that was nothing. But actually, I think I'm, you know, I hate to say things unless I'm absolutely sure. I haven't looked it up online, but I remember somebody saying this to me that a coincidence is when two things, mathematically speaking, it's a mathematical term, and it means two things lining up at the same point, at the same time, perfectly being matched. And that's actually quite a miracle, and not the, what's the word? The only word that I can think of is coincidence, but that's what I'm trying to say is that we're using this word to mean the opposite of what it actually means. It actually means miracle.
That coincidences are miracles. They just are. Every single day is a miracle. I mean, if you think about all the things that have to align for people to even talk to each other or
Mm-hmm.
meet each other, you know, it's not just, it is a mathematical frequency that has to have so many things happen in order for that to happen, that particular event to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that you're open to miracles, the more miracles and coincidences are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I just want to tell the viewers real fast, don't get stuck on what is your purpose. Don't get stuck on the destination because I promise you, where all those miracles happen, it's all in between. It is the journey. Whatever you think you should be or whatever you think you are, the universe has such a better plan for you, such a better plan for you, and the best way to get that better plan is being open to it and not just limiting yourself in that belief system.
Good deal. Oh, I'm so excited. We got so much good stuff today. Tell the viewers about the free gift that you're offering.
I am offering a few pages of a little book on how to manage your energy. And I've taken all of my experiences and have streamlined it because I personally, I wrote it for an ADD person because I think that's just how a website should be done. I think that, you know, it gives you bullet points of how to manage your energy, how to channel your wisdom, channel your inner wisdom, and then how to how to really, really tap into your intuition. So, and what you're doing is you're becoming more of a spiritual athlete, and you have to feed yourself the right food, and you have to, and in order to do that, you have to get rid of all the bad toxins or other vibrations that no longer serve your highest good. You just have to, and you'll be able to help others way more by doing that than trying to get involved with everybody on this level. And so it's just bullet points. It's something that I feel that has helped a lot. I've given it to a lot. I've given a lot of lectures, and I've handed it out, and it truly has helped people because it's simple. It's just simple steps, like about how to, ask your own guidance to just simple questions. You never have to say anything out loud. So if I ask, "Oh, should I do this?" and you get a yes or no, go with it. And ask it again, though. Just because it's solid right at that moment in time doesn't mean it's going to, like we discussed, doesn't mean it's going to be that same answer.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Good.
Yeah.
So you can get that free link by clicking, you can get that free gift from Jennifer by clicking the link below. Thank you all so much for coming today and for showing up, and what a coincidence that you're all here. What a miracle you're all here. Thank you so much for being with us, Jennifer. Would you like to say anything else before we end?
You know what? Nobody on the other side has ever come back saying they wish they would have held back. We are here to live and love and laugh and be our best versions of ourselves. Don't ever, ever, get out of the mindset there's not enough. There's enough work to go around for the whole planet. There's enough work there's never a lack. And when you get out of that lack, the doors are going to swing open and you are going to have so much fun with your own guidance. It's a lot of fun. You're going to feel crazy at first. But you're okay?
Yeah. Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everybody. See you next time.